Hi guys, it's Parmesan Tom here. Today I'm super excited to share with you guys how to make fresh pasta. It's honestly so good and actually low-key not hard. It just takes some patience, but totally worth it if you want to make dinner taste 10 times better and a little bit healthier. Alright, as always, if you want to see more quick recipes and cooking videos, just click my logo in the bottom right to subscribe. I appreciate all the support I've been getting on my Instagram account, and I hope we can carry that over here onto YouTube. Now, let's get right into it. First, for ingredients, you'll need 2 cups of flour. I used all-purpose, but pretty much any flour here will work. It's not as complicated as it sounds. 2 whole eggs, and then 6 yolks, and I have an easy way to get the yolks out that you'll see in a little bit. A tablespoon of olive oil, and a pinch of salt. And then you will also want a little extra flour off to the side as you work the dough. Alright, so as you can see here, this is an easy way to get your egg yolks quickly by just cracking your eggs into a bowl and using your hands. The egg whites will fall from gravity and you'll be left with just the yolks. Now we can begin the prep. So you want to take your 2 cups of flour and basically make a giant volcano. Use your fingers and just slowly push the flour out on your board in all directions. And a good tip to note is make it bigger than you think it should be. Then we can grab our eggs and scramble those up before we dump them into the center of our flour volcano. And now, using our fork, just very slowly continue to scramble the eggs, but incorporate a little bit of flour each time. And as you can see, this is where the patience comes in, but just remember, hard work always pays off in the end. Once most of the flour is mixed into the eggs, we can put our fork down and begin with our hands. And quick tip that I forgot to do, but make sure to cover your hands with some flour before grabbing the dough so the dough doesn't stick to your hands. And we want to make sure when we are mixing the dough that the dough is not too wet, but it's also not overly dry. You can do this by feeling the dough. If it's super sticky, add a little bit more flour until you can work it. Then we can begin the kneading process. This is what activates the gluten into the dough and makes the fresh pasta taste as good as it should be. So you want to make sure that you do this correctly. At this point, you want to make a note of the time on the clock, and I recommend kneading the dough for about 10 minutes. I know it sounds like a lot, but it'll make your pasta taste so much better. Now I can show you the 2 basic techniques for kneading the dough. The first, which I prefer, is using both hands, where you take the dough and push it into the board and across, while the other hand lifts to allow you to get it up off the board and to do it again. It becomes easier as the dough becomes more firm, which you'll see a little bit later. The second technique is the heart technique, which you basically just roll the dough up the board and back down the board, creating a heart formation. This is a bit harder as the dough tends to roll lengthwise, but it works. Definitely try both and see which you prefer. Now that the 10 minutes are up, we can test our dough to see if it's ready to be rolled out. To do this, you just take your dough and poke it. If it has that elasticity and tries to come back to formation, which you can see here, then it's ready to rest. Just get a small piece of plastic wrap and let the dough rest at room temperature for 30 minutes. When the 30 minutes is up, we can begin to roll the dough. Now, most people use a rolling pin or a pasta maker, but if you don't have those, a wine bottle does the job. Just make sure to wash the outside of the bottle before doing this. So as you can see, I'm flouring the outside of the dough so it's easier to work with, and I'm going to cut about a quarter piece to roll out. This amount of dough is enough for one person, so if you're making pasta for multiple people, roll out enough dough accordingly. So with using the wine bottle, I found it's best to do smaller sections of the dough and work different areas. The dough tends to stick to the glass, so make sure you have plenty of flour on hand. And just note that I continue to fold the dough to get a close to perfect rectangle shape as I can, so I'm not wasting dough later when we cut the pasta. And of course, we are making pasta by hand. It's not going to be perfect, and it really shouldn't be. So don't stress about the dough not being a perfectly straight rectangle, as you'll never get it to be when you're making pasta by hand. At this point, I'm just trying to get the dough as thin as I can. You'll know the dough is ready to be cut when you see your fingers through the dough. And yes, the dough should be extremely thin because it will thicken when we cook the pasta. Now I'll skip ahead to when the dough is ready to be cut. So as you can see, I made sure my dough has plenty of flour on it so it doesn't stick together, and today I'm making a thin pasta. Most would consider the thickness of fettuccine. To do this, you will just lightly wrap the pasta over itself and then cut the edges to get a straight line and cut to desired thickness. Here I'm doing about 1/4 inch, maybe a bit more. But this is supposed to be fun, and you can make whatever style pasta you desire. So be creative and try something funky. You can see here I'm just unfolding the cuts we made, and we got ourselves some fresh fettuccine. This can be added to salted boiling water, and the pasta can cook for about 2 to 2.5 minutes, which I'll show real quick. But before I do, please drop a like on this video if you thought it was informative. I hope I helped someone out there make really delicious pasta, as this was one of my most fun experiences cooking, and it's exciting to try pasta you made for the first time. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you keep watching, you'll see the final product, but there really isn't much else to it. You can be as creative as you want, and there are some very unique and easy styles, which I'm sure I'll do future videos on. But please don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you want more recipes like this. I'm Parmesan Tom, and I hope to see you in the next recipe.